Good morning, Yorkshire Classic Cars Ltd fans. Welcome back. Quick weekly update on what's going on in the old workshop room here on another bright, beautiful, sunny, pouring it down and freezing cold day in sunny Retford, or near sunny Retford. Quick update. Quick update, as you can see behind me, there is a Triumph Spitfire coming. That's just been dropped off this morning. I'll just bob around here, don't know why I'm shouting, try to get over the crackling in the microphone. Oh yeah, sorry about the crackling in the microphones. I think, although I'm not for sure, I think it's the angle grinding's getting stuck to it when I'm doing like grinding videos, like the Austin 1100 video, so sorry about that. Please don't click off as soon as it does that. It usually stops within about half a minute, but anyway, if it does, it does. I'm sorry. I probably need to buy yet more new microphones. So back to the Spitfire. Beautiful, beautiful, clean. One of my faves. Nice, a non-Triumph silver. But it does suit the car a lot, especially with the mini lights, in my for what it's worth, humble opinion. I tend to find 70s, 80s design cars, or early, well, sort of 70s design cars in the Spitfire's case, tend to suit really sort of louder colours that probably wouldn't suit a modern car, hence, you know, things like my Capri and ridiculous, you know, puke green there. I like this Spitfire. I've worked on it before when I worked at Yorkshire Triumphs. It's coming for a couple of little bits of bodywork. If you look down there, the bottom corner behind the wheel, this is a very common place for Spitfires. They are prone to a little bit of rotteroonie in there. Like all cars, really. I mean, Capris are the same here. It just gets all the muck and dust and grot as it throws it up. So it chips the paint. The muck and rust gets in there over the years. But overall, very, very good car. The bonnet has some damage. You can see there's some dints here. Can't remember how he said they got there. And some rust and rot. So he has supplied me with a good used bonnet. I'm going to get that. I think I'll get it acid dipped probably. And then I'll repair any bits that need doing on that. There's a little bit of surface crust on it around, but I've got to say there doesn't seem to be a lot of rot in it. This is, you know, it's all very solid in here. This is all solid. It feels a little thinner on the other side. This is solid. It does look a very good bonnet, actually. It may need a little repair. This area here always looks worrying, but I think, I could be wrong, but I think somebody's just tried to glue this on and stop it rattling. Basically, these are made out of cast aluminium, if you don't know. The headlight surrounds, and they have bolts screwed in from the rear. You can't get to see them. They're up in here and underneath. And basically, if you strip the threads, it's difficult to repair them. Now, if they are stripped, I'll either use these originals or I'll just helicoil them out. But yeah, overall, there's a couple of broken bolts here. They're just quarter UNF, so I can drill those out and retap those. That's no problem at all. Don't have any problem there. May even weld a nut to it and see if it'll pull it. Usually the heat breaks them free anyway. But yeah, pretty straight, pretty tidy. There's a couple of little dents in it. But, you know, for its age, very, very good, actually. Hopefully when it's dipped, it doesn't come back in a plastic bag, but who knows? So yeah, there's that. It's going to get a nice service. I think the carbs probably need balancing, but it might just need a good service, and I'll check the ignition and everything. Because it just sounds a little bit off to me. But there's a number of things that could be. It could be something and nothing. It's not holding its charge in the battery, and the alternator belt feels pretty loose to me, so it could just be something simple like that, but I'll check that with my multimeter. Whilst the bonnet's getting dealt with. But yeah, really like that one. Nice little car, very tidy, very clean. Quite funny because the owner, weirdly, very, very, very tall people seem to end up owning Spitfires, and it always looks quite funny when they get out. Not being mean, but it is true. The Mini is still here. It will be leaving anytime once I've finished off and put the windscreen back in. I've had to take the screen out to do the vinyl on the top there of the dashboard. It did have a crash pad in there, a Mini Clubman style crash pad, and it covered the top of the Speedo. It just didn't work. I didn't envisage that with the Sense Speedo, and nor did the owner. And I put it in. and it looked a bit ridiculous. So what I've done is I've filled the holes in the dash where the crash pad was screwed on, not a particularly big job, and then I've put a layer of 3mm thick neoprene underneath to act as a foam, and that's given it sort of a cushioned finish. Now, you probably can't see that. Now then, it's not finished, so you're seeing it with all the dust and muck stuck to it, because when you're doing spray glue, it's an absolute nightmare trying to keep it in the right direction. So what I'll do is a little bit of panel wipe and a clean cloth, give it a quick wipe over, and that comes off. It actually weirdly comes off better when it's dry. No idea why. So I'll probably clean that off on Monday morning, but it's no biggie. I've cleaned the most of it off. I want to make sure it's all clean before I put the windscreen back in, because if it's difficult to get to areas, it'll look a mess. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with how that's come out. The corners have finished nicely. Some little bits of the edge trims there. You can see that bit on the bottom of the A-pillar over there. That got rolled in when the windscreen got fitted. So I'm going to make sure they're glued really well back in and then put the windscreen trim back in. So that's that pretty much done. The 1100 has left. If anybody wants to buy a kit form of the sills, floors, inner sills, they're there. And all the offcuts connected to them. No low ballers. I know what I've got there. That's, you know, collector's item. There's even barn fine dust in there. The Capri, yeah, no time with the Capri, really. I did remove the windscreen wiper motor yesterday. I just did a half day yesterday. I had to take my daughter to a brownie camp, so I had to finish early. So having dropped off the 1100, I decided to wire up the windscreen wipers so I could use both speeds. This is actually out of my facelift Capri that I broke up years ago. So I wanted to use both speeds and make them park. Now, when I did my Escort, I couldn't work out how the blooming wires went. And I like electrics. The circuit diagram is literally like just try to chew your way through spaghetti. Some wires are labelled, some aren't. The colours change. It's just literally a nightmare. And of course, I'm not using the original switch, nor do I have it, nor the original loom. So I'm just trying to work out how it all works. I have finally managed to get that to work. But yeah, there was some severe head scratching with that. And I did cry a little bit at some point, because it really was an absolute nightmare. But I can now use both speeds, and I can now make it park. So when you turn the switch off, it goes back to park, which is good. I screwed the washer jets in the other day. Not that that's a really big step forward. I've made a bracket and screwed in the master cylinder reservoirs. So those they are in now. Forgot I needed those, actually. Saw something on another post somewhere, and it made me remember I needed to order those. Nice and solid and out of the way. And I made a washer bottle mount, and that's in the boot. You can't see it. So just trust me, it's in there. Okay. Right. On my thumbnail, I've put, I'm going to have a weekly rant. And this week, I am going to have a rant. If anybody knows me, if you're watching this out there, hi Lee, that's one of my other friends, you know I like a rant. But this one's a doozy, right? It's not about driving. It's not about the nutters and lunatics out on the road that, it could be, you know, there's a million things I could rant about. But this week, you'll probably know where I'm coming from, potentially. And it's internet experts, okay? I've been on the internet for years, obviously. When the internet started, I went on forums and stuff like that. And you'd get somebody post a problem. You'd post a problem with your car. You'd be on a Skyline owners forum. And instantly, there'd be a million internet experts come on. And now I wasn't aware that they were internet experts at the time. I was just believing what they were saying. Because kind of, if I give advice to anyone, I don't tend to do it over the web anymore. If I give advice to anyone, and you know, I tend to make sure I know what I'm talking about. Sorry, this is a dinner time rant, so I'm going to have my sandwich. And yes, I'm from Yorkshire, and yes, we call dinner time. This isn't tea time. So I'm going to eat my sandwich while I'm talking. So internet experts. Now then, on Instagram, I have an Instagram account, obviously, for my business. And I follow a couple of welding platforms. I'm not going to say the names because one of them sounds rude, but it actually isn't. But they're good. And they're very good. I love seeing some of the work they do, the TIG welding, the MIG welding, the brazing, the lead work, the silver soldering and stuff like that. Fantastic. Really, it's inspirational. But as soon as you click on the comments section, I find it absolutely demoralising. Because everyone seems to think instantly, wherever welding's concerned, they're a blooming expert. Now, I know some of those people reading it will be expert welders of some variety or another. But I can also tell that a lot of them have never picked up a welding torch in their life, and if they have, it hasn't ended well. You'll see someone brazing, they'll go, well, they're soldering. No, they're not brazing. The brass welding, the brazing, that's oxy brazing. You know, you've no idea what you're talking about. Well, that'd be no good. It's just soldered. No, brazing is really strong if you can do it properly. You know, all the racing motorcycle frames, you know, back in the day, the feather beds, they were all brazed. It's using the appropriate method for what you're doing. Bicycle frames, brazed, you know, and some are TIG welded on aluminium and stuff now, but back in the day, they were all brazed. We haven't moved on because it's better necessarily. We've moved on because materials may have changed, like aluminium, for example. So this brings me to my video that I placed this week. It was the fourth stage of the Austin 1100 sill welding. And somebody's made a comment on there about the welding. And I read it, and I know, right? And I could be wrong, but I'm pretty blooming certain that they have never picked a welding torch up in their entire life, or done any fabrication work, or worked on a car in that way and done really good work. And I know, and I do know this bit, this I can tell just by reading it, they are trying to goad me into an argument. And the comments are something about, it has a little emoticon, and it says something about but or overlap. Like that, right? In other words, you shouldn't be doing it like that. Now, I could do you a little test. In fact, I will do eventually, not today, but I will do your test. And I'll show you why I don't butt weld stuff. Yes, butt welding can be used. I do a lot of butt welding. If I was doing panel work, I would put a very small overlap in there, and I would butt weld the last sort of inch, half inch, just to make sure everything lines up. I've been doing that for a blooming long time. I do this for a living. I've done it for a living for a long time. I was taught how to do that by somebody who'd done it for a living for 35 years. And between him and me, we've produced that many show cars and absolute show winning cars. You can't shake a feather at it, you know? Now, you may have seen somebody do it differently, and you may do it differently, and that is entirely your prerogative. But when you try to grind a butt weld back, quite often, if you're not using brand new material or thin materials like modern steels that vehicles are made of, it grinds through. You are removing the thickness, and I don't care how blooming good at it you are removing thickness and weakening that panel. And the fact that I leave a tiny overlap in there makes no difference to the finish, especially on a floor or in a sill. I can assure you that. It makes it significantly stronger. Otherwise, why would I do it? I could do it at the same speed with the butter and overlap, because I can weld. I'm not saying I'm a welding god. My dad with the oxyacetylene is a welding god, or, you know, he probably doesn't do much of it anymore now, he's nearly 90. My ex-boss, honest to God, there is nothing he couldn't weld, and it was fantastic welding, and it's him who taught me how to do it. So, if you're going to try and bait me, probably not the best way. Yes, you've baited me enough to say something like this, because I basically cannot be bothered to type a response to it. But the fact is, why is it that any welding brings out a million internet donkeys who seem to think they're going to try and, you know, somebody will do a TIG weld on one of those Instagram pages and it'll be beautiful. And I mean beautiful. You know, it's like stacking dimes all the way down. It's all, and it, well, that's computer welded. Oh, that's machine welded. That's your first couple of, that comment will be in there somewhere. And then the original poster will come on and say, it really isn't. I did it. I do it by hand. I do it day in, day out. And of course he does it day in, day out. So he can TIG weld, you know, he'll do it like brushing his teeth. You know, it's just, you know, he's got the experience, or she. It's undercut, it's overcut, it's burned through, lack of penetration. Oh, you've ground it back. Oh, you should have sanded it. You should have. Seriously, you know, just walk on. If you actually do know what you're talking about, there is something wrong. Walk on. Just let us enjoy it. you know, I enjoy seeing those TIG welds. They're not holding my car together. So quite honestly, I just enjoy seeing what somebody's done and how they've done it and, you know, admiring the work. But seriously, if you don't like it, just leave it. You know, you do it your way, I'll do it mine, and let another person do it their way. Because quite honestly, at the end of the day, you're spouting over the internet, which probably means you're a keyboard warrior, which probably means you're some sort of sad, lonely person sat in your corner alone who's never picked a torch up. And then, you know, if you say that, all it is, well, I do it every day. That'd never pass inspection. That'd never pass. Oh, that's $50 a day welding. Seriously, let it go. Walk away. just, you know, it's easy to sound like an expert from behind a keyboard. But the amount of people who come out with an expert comment, oh, that'd never pass, you never pass inspection on my site. You couldn't magnaflux that. You couldn't do this. You couldn't do that. Dudes, just get over it. So that's my weekly rant. Sorry, I had to get it off my chest. It's not, what are you commenting on my video? I don't give a you know what about that. But it's the other welding issues that just drive me nuts. If you're on a welding page, just admire the welding. Don't go on there just to troll and troll and troll and troll and troll. I've had to leave those pages just purely because reading the comments gets me down. Because it antagonises me, annoys me, and it's just like, you're embarrassing yourself. But of course, people that become quite narcissistic on the internet, and they will try and argue themselves out of that corner because it's none of it's based on truth or facts or, you know, so you can answer it. I know the internet's full of that. I get it. But that's my rant. Enjoy. Okie dokie. So, thanks for watching. I don't know if you've any interest, I might do a buyer's guide on the Triumph Spitfire. It's quite similar to the GT6. I'm going to do one on the Mini, things to look for when you're buying one. I did start one, and it just went on and on and on because I was trying to cover every detail, every change, every engine, every specification for Minis, and literally nightmare. So I just deleted the video after about an hour of just wittering on. I'd barely covered up to about 1990. So the actual places you need to look for rust and things just went by the wayside. So I will do that before that car leaves. It's still not ready to leave. It still needs stuff doing to it before it's able to even be driven. So it's got to sit on the ramp for a little while longer. The Spitfire, there are little jobs I might video on that. I've done a setting up the carbs video before and an ignition video, so there's no point on that. But I might just do a buyer's guide on that one. Of course, they are still a very, very affordable classic as a Spitfire, and a great classic as well. If you don't want to go as far as a GT6, or if you're tall and you need the roof to go down, then obviously these are a better classic. Right, so leave it there. Well, I'll cut the waffle. Have a great weekend. Have a great day. Have a great week. Have a great life until I do another one. Thank you and goodbye.